there. I'm super excited to share this tutorial with you. This is this month's offering of my piano arrangement. This month is a Cole Porter tune called All of You, and it's just delightful. The lyrics are great. It's a wonderful song. I hope you'll check out the attachment. I hope that you've watched my video of the easier version. And to be honest with you, I made this a little bit easier simply by kind of ironing out some of the syncopations. So a lot of the voicings, really a lot of the structures of the chords are exactly the same as the intermediate and advanced, my original version of the arrangement. So I hope if this beginning stage gives you some confidence that you will check out the intermediate and the advanced versions as well. This is really going to be this would stand on its own. It's really wonderful to play as it is, but if this gives you a nice baseline and you want a further challenge, just please understand that those other, the intermediate and the pro or advanced level are simply really rhythmically altering this one here, adding some syncopations and such. Let's get started. If you look in the upper left-hand corner of the attachment, there are three little acronyms, I guess, or little abbreviations. There's a bit of a key if you look at the top. So CL, the letter C, the letter L, stands for cluster. And a cluster voicing, in short, just a general definition, a cluster voicing is when you sort of cram a lot of notes together in a very confined place, like a little cluster of notes. Whatever it happens to be. As you can hear already, that was no accident. Sometimes the clusters tend to have a very dissonant sound to them because they're so rich, so close together, so compact. It's a lovely sound, number one. Number two is UST, or upper structure triads. Upper structure triads. So without getting too far down the sort of theory harmony road, upper structure simply means above the octave, above the octave. Very, very quick primer on this. If you and I played a C major 7 in root position, here we have it, the root, the third, the fifth, and the seventh. If I kept going every other note, this is 1, 3, 5, 7, here's 9, 11, and 13. And if I modify that F to be F sharp, this is now 9 sharp, 11, and 13. So take a quick peek. This is the quintessential perfect example, easy to understand, of an upper structure triad, a UST. This is D, F sharp, and A. And if you and I weren't having this discussion right now, you'd say, gee, Tom, that's just a D major chord. It is. It's a D major triad. So the point being, this really advanced sound, this wonderful, complex, amazing chord with 7 tones in it, which is C major 7 with a natural 9, sharp 11, natural 13, could be reduced, could be not understood, but there could be another moniker for it that's a much simpler moniker. Instead of looking at C major 13, sharp 11 with a natural 9, it could simply be looked at as, gee, this is a D major triad in my right hand and a C major 7 in my left hand. And when I fuse those two things together, it produces that wonderful sound. So that's my second point. We will see upper structure triads in this particular arrangement. And my third point is Q, or the third talking point here is Q. And you'll see a number of boxes throughout this arrangement that say Q. Q is for quartal, and just as it would normally be in our English language, a quart is 1/4 of something, or a quarter, a fourth of a dollar. Quart implies the number 4. So for us as musicians, if we build a chord in fourths, it gives us a particular sound. Do this quick example with me. Play a D, and then a G, and then a C, and then an F, and then heck, a B flat. These are all fourths. What a wonderful sound. It's a bit of an ancient sound. If if you know your scales, you can find it quite easily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, right? You could keep going. These are all perfect fourths. If you don't know your scales, don't fret. Count half steps. So easy. From this D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps. From this G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps. From this C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps. From this F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 half steps. So if you get freaked out by the like key signatures and the cycle of fifths and I don't know my scales, don't worry. Just count half steps and you'll find those perfect fourths. Q equals quartal, we will hear those lovely sounds of quartal harmony. Okay, onward from the beginning, As I look at this sheet, and I want to invite you to do this too, and if you've printed this, which I hope you have, if you've printed it and you just have your standard old number 2 pencil, you might wish to write this down. Cole Porter was not reinventing the wheel as it pertains to form. Now, I didn't write the form on this piece, but let's do it together. If you look at the first 8 measures, and I'm not including the pickup measure. The pickup measure is that very first, that first measure that's there. It's melodically a part of the song, but it's not a part of the form per se. The first measure of the form is really the second measure on that page, A flat minor 6. So if we count 8 measures, you'll get to the double bar line. That we could call our A section. If you look at the next 8 bars, they don't look the same. They're not the same. We could call this the B section. Second page, look at 8 bars. It looks remarkably similar to the first 8 bars. I would call this A prime, or A with a little hash mark after it, a little exponent 1, or a little accent aigu, whatever you want to call it. And then the last 8 measures is really unique from anything else we've seen. So in short, the form is A, B, A, C, or A, B, A prime, C. Let's look at the A section together. Let's look at the A section. And I'll notice, or we can notice throughout the entire A section, with the exception of the last measure, you're just playing a B flat down low. That's it. It's so easy. Here's the first measure right hand. Bum, 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 bum. This is an A flat minor 6. It's labeled there. If you look, this is A flat minor 6 in first inversion. So if I took that A flat off the top and I put it on the bottom, there's your A flat minor 6 chord in root position. So easy, so easy. Take the A flat off the top, off the bottom, put it on the top, and you get this. Bum, 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 bum. So easy. Let's do one more chord together. And here's the first place where you see this, one of those signs that I mentioned, the CL, cluster. These are all clustered together. Let's unpack this. This is E flat, and you can see here, E flat. There's an E flat major chord, 1, 3, 5. There's the 7. So the G that I have up here is the 3rd. I wonder what the C and the F are in this cluster. E flat major 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. I can't sing it, it's so high. So the F and the C are the 9th and the 13th respectively of that chord. And what I've decided to do, just out for sound and the aesthetic of this, is taking that F and that C and cramming it in right alongside the sort of guts of the chord, the 3rd, the G, and the 7th, which is the D. And that's where I get this cluster from. So from the beginning in closure here, neat sound. Take a quick pause for a quick moment. I've got much more to share with you. I hope you're having fun so far. All right, so let's keep going. This is the 3rd measure of the form, So if you're looking at the sheet, it's actually the 4th physical measure. remember that very first measure, let's call that measure 0. It's a pickup measure, not a part of the A, B, A, C form, just a melodic pickup measure. So I'm looking at as you look from left to right, the fourth measure. It's actually the third measure of the form. It's F minor 9, flat 5. What a delicious, delicious chord sounds like this. It's a lot to unpack. I think sometimes of these clusters, you see the CL above in the box. I think of these clusters as really super rich food, like something exotic that has been sort of, has a dab of truffle oil or something like that you taste and you're like, wow, this is so rich. I want to understand how this taste got to be so rich. Let's unpack this one. It's really divine. It's lovely. So it's a G, an A flat, and a C flat, but the chord is F minor 7, flat 5. Erase all this stuff. Let's start with F. This will be easy. There's F major. Play an F major chord. Super easy. I'm going to remember my scale. There's that one flat. So there's the 7th, 9th, 11th, and 13th. There's the whole enchilada. That's the kitchen sink right there for F. If you notice me holding this down, I'm holding down all white notes except a B flat, reflective of this major scale. The key of F major 1 flat. So now let's go back to the matter at hand. This is a major chord, F major. If I lower the A to A flat, it's now F minor. Okay, now I'm getting closer to what's being called for here. It says F minor 9, flat 5. I'm going to take that 5th and lower that. Now I'm getting even closer. There's F minor with a flatted 5th, and I need to add the 9th. Which one was the 9th? F, of course, is the octave, or 8. So there's 9. G is 9. What a wonderful sound. Isn't that delicious? What I have done in the context of this song was to take the G and put it down below. And instead of using the F, the given root, I've substituted the G. That's where I'm getting that sound from. So let's do one more and then we'll recap these 4 measures. Moving on to the next measure. This is the last measure of the top stave or top stanza. This is the 4th measure of the form. UST:E7, upper structure triad E7. Look at your right hand. Goodness. It's E7. Oh my gosh. That's not what Cole Porter wanted. He wanted a B flat 7. But I'm adding this jazz technique, this upper structure triad, specifically called a tritone substitution. I've written it right there for you. My goodness. So there's a ton to unpack here to really more fully understand this chord. First and foremost, play what's given. This is the E7, but let's take a look. This is E7 in second inversion. That means if I take the G sharp off the top and I put it down here, now I'm in first inversion. If I do it again and I take the E off the top and I put that on the bottom, there it is in root position. That's just your mama's E7 chord. No big deal. E7 in root position, first inversion, second inversion. Fine. If I pit E7 against B flat, delicious. It's amazing. Why do you think this is called a tritone substitution? What is a tritone first? A tritone. Tri, of course, is 3. And in this case, in music, the tones are whole steps. So let's do this fun game together. I love this game, to find a tritone. The given is B flat. B flat. March towards the center in half steps. Do it again. It's amazing. That is the point that's equidistant between the 2 B flats. It's equidistant between them. Half steps, half steps, half steps, half steps. amazing? Go back to the moniker, to the title. This is a tritone, a tritone. If I was at E and I went up, this time in whole steps, up a whole step, 1, up a whole step, 2, up a whole step, 3. I get to B flat. Let's go the other way. It's equal opportunity. Here's E. Go down a whole step. 1. Down another whole step. 2. Down another whole step. 3. You get to B flat either way, in whatever direction you're going. The note E and the note B flat are as far away from each other as you could possibly get on the keyboard, and frankly in Western, traditional Western instruments, Western music. Last thing, why is it called a tritone substitution? Let's go to the laboratory. Take your left hand and play a B flat 7 chord. Looks like this. Not a big deal. Take your right hand at the laboratory and play an E7 chord. Down here we have B flat, D, F, A flat. Not a big deal. Up here, E, G sharp, B, D. Again, not a big deal. But if we take a close look at the guide tones, the guts, the blood and guts of this, the inner part of this chord, there's something quite revelatory here. The 3rd and the 7th of this guy down here, the B flat chord. There's the 3rd, there's the 7th. I'm gonna expose those 2 notes. Up here to the E7, there's the 3rd, there's the 7th. I'm gonna expose those 2 notes. Take a look. Isn't that amazing? The D and the A flat here are also here, the D and the A flat, or G sharp if you want to use the N harmonic. This is why, in short, this is why those 2 chords can be used to substitute for each other, as a substitute for each other. So E7 often and B flat 7 are really inextricably the same chord when it comes to the structural part of the chord, naming the 3rd and the 7th, the guide tones. It's almost like heads and tails of a coin. Heads and tails of a coin. One has a dark sound, one has a light sound, depending on the context, but the 3rd and the 7th remain the same. Or I should be quite clear, the 3rd and the flat 7 remain the same. Let us bring some summary to the first 4 measures. How delightful. Here they are, super slow. There's the A flat minor 6 in first inversion. It's really just this note. Cluster chord, E flat major 13. Another cluster. Oh, I'm calling that my truffle oil cluster. I love it. Rich, rich, rich. G sharp, E7 over B flat 7. I'll bring a tiny bit of closure to that so far. I do want to say that sometimes I deliberately go out of my way to change the N harmonic printing of certain notes. So in that particular juncture, in that 4th measure, I deliberately chose G sharp, E natural, D natural, and B natural. That is really quite distant from the key, but for us to visually see that is a much clearer representation of E7. I wanted it to be very conspicuously E7 in print while that coexists with this. Cool. I have tons more to share with you. All right, let's keep going. This is so fun, my goodness. Second staff, second stave, second grand staff of the first page is the second half of the A section. So let's take a peek here. The note just prior to that, the very last note in the top line is F. I use my 3rd finger, and then when I get down to that second stave, this is the first measure of that second stave, A flat minor 6, I simply have my 3rd finger ready. I simply play the other 4 notes that are there. This is A flat minor 6. I hope this feels familiar to you. It's the exact voicing that you're finding in the first bar of the form, A flat minor 6. G, and then another cluster, again, repeating the second measure. A lonely B flat, and then There's that truffle chord, if you will. There's that F minor 9, flat 5. And this time it's a bit different. The melody goes B flat, B flat. And look in that, this is measure 8 on the page, measure 8 on the page. It's the last measure of the second line. It's B flat with these 3 notes underneath, G, E, and B natural. This is another UST. This is an upper structure triad. It's not as conspicuous as the others, so let's get rid of the melody note for a moment. That melody note's gone away, and you can see that I've got a G, an E, and a B. Still, it's a bit occluded, but if I take that B off the bottom and I put it at the top, there it is. That is just a plain Jane vanilla E minor chord. Not a big deal. What's wacky is, I'll invert it back to the second inversion. Took the B off the top, I put it on the bottom. What's wacky is that E minor sounds like vanilla ice cream if it's in the context of E minor. Not a big deal. If you take that E minor and you fuse it with B flat 7, here it is with B flat 7. Then it becomes an ultra rich, amazing experience. It's almost like a brother-sister of the tritone substitution. Notice above we were using E7. This is not a dominant chord, it's just a minor triad. But it does achieve a type of a 9th, a type of an 11th, and a type of a 13th on the B flat chord. Let's unpack that real quick like. Here's B flat major scale. 7, 9, 11, 13. There are all the natural tones of the B flat major scale. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. We're looking at a dominant chord here, so we need a flatted 7th. Take that 7 and flat it. The chord also asks for a flat 9. Here's your 9, I'm gonna flat that. It's not, I apologize, it's not written there, but what is implicit is a sharp 11. Here's natural 11, if I sharp it, I get this, and what's written is a natural 13, which is already there. Voila, do you see it? B flat 7, E minor, amazing. So it begs the question, this is why these upper structure triads exist, because it's just easier to comprehend in a faster way. Would you rather see my right hand plays E minor and my left hand plays B flat 7. That's so easy. Or would you rather see the more brainiac, please play B flat 13, sharp 11 with a flat 9? I mean, at some point you kind of need a calculator or a protractor or a flashlight, a compass, something to figure those more advanced things out. So here it is. This is exactly what I've written. The melody note, the E minor triad, and the guide tones, or the 3rd and the 7th. So, quick summary, first 8 measures. I like the look. Cluster. Cluster. Upper structure triad, which is a tritone substitution. Same as the first measure. Pardon me, same as the second measure. Same as the 3rd measure. Upper structure triad, which is melody note, E minor chord, guide tones. That gets you through the first 8 bars, the A section. So fun, isn't it? Amazing, amazing. I always marvel at this. You know, I made this easier version by stripping away all of the syncopation. So it's not inherently all that jazzy, rhythmically speaking. But harmonically speaking, it is so jazzy. It's so fulfilling and so rich and so beautiful. So more to come. This is the 3rd stave, G minor 11. It sounds like this. The pickup note, this is the last note of the 2nd stave, B flat up to C, and that C is the top note of the bar 9 there. And in bar 9 we have this. And at that juncture, it is a rootless voicing. Again, if you're the type of person like me that likes to take notes, you might write that down. This is a rootless voicing, at least initially. At least initially. At that beginning part of the measure, there's no G to be found. You can't find a G there. But goodness gracious, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 other tones. You've got every other tone of the G scale, the minor scale, as it were. And just for good measure, and because sometimes I love to hear a rootless chord, but sometimes I really want to hear that gravity. So what I did in this particular juncture is to play this rootless voicing and then reach down and play this. Now you've got it all. If you wish, in a tactile fashion, especially if your hand is big enough, if you're a teenager or an adult and your hand is big enough, I choose to do this, 1, 2 on B flat and F, and then I just simply kind of stretch down with my pinky. So I really stretch this way, as opposed to, which you can do, it doesn't much matter. There's G minor 11, kitchen sink there. Second measure, third stave. This is another upper structure triad, UST. It's an A flat triad. Here are the notes in the right hand. C, A flat, E flat, C. Left hand is B flat and F flat. Delicious. It's so cool. Ah, I love it. Here's G flat. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's the G flat major scale with no alterations. I'm going to look down here. It's calling for a dominant chord. It's a G flat 7. I lowered the 7 to flat 7. I got a natural 9, and it's calling for a sharp 11. Sharp the 11. There it is. A flat major, G flat 7. Plain Jane, put them together. In a little bit inverted. Moving on, just a couple more minutes here. Not a big deal. This is again a rootless voicing. Notice there's no F until you reach down to play the F. Now, heretofore we have not seen that particular chord, although we've seen that, we've sort of heard that particular sound. It is a cluster. It's crammed all together. It is a B flat 7 chord with a natural 13 and a flat 9. D, C flat, A flat, G. Amazing, amazing. Take a very quick moment and I'll go a bit more rapidly. Start with the major scale. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There we are. It's a B flat 13 flat 9. So we have a dominant 7. There's a major triad. There's the 7. There's the flat 7. Natural 9, but we want flat 9. And a natural 13. I'll get rid of the 11. I'm taking that away. There are the component parts. And I'm going to take the B and the G, or the C flat and the G, and I'm going to put them down here, or down here. So now you can see how that's coming together. I'll take the A flat off the top and put that on the bottom, get rid of the B flat, get rid of the F. There's the chord right there, I believe. Delicious. Okay, more to come. All right, almost done. My goodness. We are at the very bottom staff, the very bottom stave of the first page. So this is the second half of the B section of the song, if you're thinking in terms of A, B, A, C. The chord is E flat major 13, and there's a Q above it. I think this is the first Q of the entire arrangement. Now remember, Q is for quartal, fourths. These are, what a wonderful sound. These are such a great sound. Let's take a peek at what I've written. from the ground up, in the left hand is an E flat, which is the root of the chord. I go to a G. So far, so good. It's not a big deal. It really sounds like a E flat major triad. It's not that big of a deal. But I've decided to jump ship at this point, and I'm going to build on that G and go up in fourths and see what we get. So there's Here Comes the Bride, Here Comes the Bride, here. What a wonderful sound. There's that E flat major 13 in a quartal setting. Wow. That 9 is delicious, right? Here's 8, the octave, 8, 9. The 5th of the chord. The C is the 6th degree of the scale, or jazzers refer to this as the 13 in this particular context. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I always reflect on the fact that it's like, jeepers, it's the same 12 notes for everybody. Bach, Mozart, Shostakovich, the Rolling Stones, you know? And it's really the allocation of these notes. Which ones do we leave in? Which ones do we leave out? How do we configure those notes? That's what gives that particular sound. That's what paints with that brush. Wow, it's such a beautiful thing. Marvelous, really, to think about. So there it is. Quartal harmony, next measure. This is, next voicing. This is measure 13. It's this. Okay, so I've got a, that's it, yes. D7. I guess I don't like that all that much. I'm going to change that, yes. Let's make it D7 with a flatted 9 and a flat 13. Like that better. Next measure, measure 14. The left hand is D flat 7. That's just your standard D flat 7 in root position. I've omitted the 5th. I'm adding 9. Remember, octave is easy to find. There's 8, there's 9. This acts as the 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. B flat is 13. That's in that measure 14, I deliberately wrote, instead of writing this as D flat, I wrote it as C sharp so that when it's tied to the next chord, which is C13 flat 9, I've got that C sharp, A, E, left hand, B flat, E, C. Here's another UST, another upper structure triad. Can you see it? It's just an A chord, right, in second inversion. I'll take the E off the bottom and put it on the top. There's A, root position. Take the E off the top, put it on the bottom. That's A, second inversion. So there's a lot of richness there. Let's play, or if you want to listen, but I challenge you to play it, of course. Measure 13, there's 4 vignettes, starting with quartal and winding up with this upper structure triad. The first one, E flat major 13, is that the D7 with the flat 9. Oh, that's delicious. The D flat 7 or D flat with the natural 9 and the natural 13. And then the C7 with the A triad here. Here it is without me babbling over it. Man, it's delightful. Last 2 measures of the page. This is F minor 9 with a flatted 5th. B flat, G, E flat, C flat. Isn't that amazing? What a delicious sound. If I take the F, let's have this experiment here. If I take the F and I bring it up here, and I add the flatted third, add the minor third, it is a minor chord, and then simply move up, and here's the big word, in a tertial or tertian fashion. Oh, There it is, that half diminished sound. Wow. You know, if you're a classical player, those guys and girls that were writing music in the late 19th century, Claude Debussy and Maurice Ravel and people like that, they adored this half diminished sound, the minor 7 flat 5. Debussy, I said Debussy, pardon. What a wonderful, wonderful sound that is. Okay. That's the last measure. C flat with B flat and A flat. And that's it. Onward. Pickups to the second page. This is the same, it's a cluster. It's the same cluster as the first page. There's the E7, the upper structure triad, which is also known as a tritone substitution. A flat minor 6. Another cluster here. This is I've made it a quarter note so that we can accommodate the melody. Just thirds. Not a big deal. Here's new material. This is measure 23. Amazing. G minor 11. Oh my gosh. Let's unpack this one. This is really fun. See that C and that A there? Take that and put it up here. Left hand, G minor 7. Voila, there it is. G minor chord, G minor 7. Remember, a minor 7 chord has the lowered third and the lowered 7th. Natural 9, natural 11. Amazing. But it's so deep, it's so delicious if you can put it all together. Clustered, crammed all together. And the last measure of that section, the A prime section, this is measure 24. So here we have an upper structure triad of an F sharp minor chord. The melody is C. Below the melody, below the C, I have this. Right? There's that lonely F sharp, right? F sharp chord. So I have a C natural for a melody, F sharp triad, left hand, C, E, B flat. Unbelievable. This is the same relationship as measure 8 of the previous page. Measure 8 is a E minor triad with B flat 7 crammed together. This case is an F sharp minor triad with a C7. The relationship is the same, has that same sound. Page 1 was this. Right, page 2, measure 24 is this. Cool. And we just have 8 more measures to go together. I love it. I love it. I hope that this is fun for you. I just love talking about these things, and I can't wait to just bring some closure and button this guy up. All right, we made it. Here's the end. This is the C section of the song. It's the last bit of my arrangement of all of you. So we are on page 2, measure 25, measure 25. And there's a few new things to share with you. Not new concepts, but new settings of them. So the first one is an upper structure triad. I'll go a little bit faster this time since we've sort of discussed all of these 3 different approaches already at least once before. Upper structure triad of B flat, right hand, measure 25. You can see it, can't you? That's B flat major in second inversion. If I take the F off the bottom, put it on the top, there it is, B flat major in root position. So here it is in second inversion. And I've got one of those squiggly lines there in the left hand because this is really tough to reach. I have a larger hand so I can kind of get that, but feel at complete liberty to roll that entire chord actually from the left hand A flat, G, C, which is the root, the guide tones, the 7th and the 3rd, and this upper structure triad, which gives me natural 9, sharp 11, and 13. What a lovely sound, right? Moving on. This is the second measure of that section, measure 26. D natural, B natural, G natural, E flat, G, A. This is a beautiful exotic sound I love very much. Again, it's a minor 7 flat 5. But when we add that natural 9, that's the end. Isn't that amazing, that B natural? So here we are, measure 26. D, B, G, E flat, G, and A. To be truthful with you, it is an incomplete A minor chord. It's really missing a quintessential part of the A minor sound, which is this. It's missing that, isn't it? But out of the interest of playability, it's implied, it's there. Next chord with a big Q over it, quartal harmony. Man, you can see it in spades here. This is from the bottom up, D, that's the root. Third, flat 7, root and guide tones. Sharp 9, flat 13, flat 9. There it is. What a wonderful sound that is. And then the only place in the entire arrangement, just a little tiny smidge of sorbet, just to clear the air. The lonely G, D flat 9 after that, which is just an E flat in the right hand. Left hand couldn't be simpler. It's a root position D flat 7 chord, right? It's missing the 5th, but that's okay. Super easy. Everybody and their neighbor goes down, and the right hand goes down again. Okay? So we get that. There's the G. Here's D flat 7. Here's C7. C7 flat 9. It's a nice sound. G. Almost done. 2 Qs. This is the last measure of the third stave, measure 29. Pure quartal harmony. And they're not even augmented fourths. They are perfect fourths. F minor 11, G minor 11, that sound right there, kind of, hopefully to your ears too, it smacks of that sort of So What sound, the Miles Davis Kind of Blue album, you've heard, I'm sure. Bill Evans playing those quartal, delightful, delightful. Technically in theirs, there is a third at the top, but it is a very, very close cousin. So back to my arrangement, measure 29 is this, and then up a whole step for this, and then kind of a similar sound here. I've labeled it as quartal because it really is quartal. I have a fourth here, and a fourth here. I've kind of crammed them all together for that A flat major 9. It's really A flat major 13, but. And B flat 7 with a flatted 9. B flat 7 with a flatted 9. Take a look. B flat 7, there's 8, there's 9, there's flat 9. And the last little bit is this. The melody note, technically Cole Porter wrote E flat. I'm writing a D sharp because, like a creative free thinker that I am, try to be, I want a deceptive cadence. I don't want to go back home. I don't want to go to E flat. I want to leave our ears delightfully suspended. So, pardon, that's incorrect. That would be the kind of the Walt Disney ending to give you the E flat. Au contraire, deception. Oh, so delicious. And even though this looks completely evil, it is so easy. All those triplets are simply a B flat major triad using the 6th and the 9th. Let's do a little bit of lab work here. There's B major. You can play B major. I'm going to add the sixth, right? 1, 3, 5, there's 6. I'm going to add the sixth. And I need the ninth. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. C sharp. And I'm going to put that there. So here's my B major chord. I add the sixth. I add the ninth. I'm actually going to get rid of the fifth. I'm going to take the F sharp away. And I have this wonderful sound. Isn't that amazing? So if you can memorize that chord, that's all of that stuff is. That's all that is. So the left hand starts and does this. And then the right hand takes over. So I'll try to do it as triplets. Triplet, 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 triplet. And here it is in context. Ah, goodness gracious, Tom. I'll bring some closure to that. I hope that this was fun for you. And I hope that not only the outcome for you is the joy of playing this, but also along the way, along this journey of kind of slogging through these different voicings, that you're learning a little bit about chord construction, about possibilities, about upper structure triads, about chordal harmony, about clusters, about just taking some chances and some risks to find some voicings, how we put these chords together, that are delightful to your ears. And that can be very powerful, because of course all of these techniques are completely transferable to any other song. So I'm excited to share more with you. Thank you for your support, and until next time.